I've been in NA 6 years now. That time I went NA first time. I can remember I have a fantasy like burger, you know. If you imagine like NA, I think people think a burger first. Try double burger, double cheese, double patty. Wow, actually this burger is so good and so fresh. It's so good. I have so many favorite food. I was thinking should be burger is best, but I like Japanese, Vietnam food, Chinese food, European food, and taco. Yeah, I like almost actual food. I'm Korean, and Koreans have a good delivery system. I cannot give up that kind of habit. I need to order something. After game, you need something. I need good food.
Welcome back to the mid-season showdown, where Grubhub is helping deliver a taste of home to our pro players. Sounds like Impact likes getting fed all kinds of food in real life, but of course the man's got to get fed here in the top lane at match point if Evil Geniuses wants to be able to keep this series alive. Kobe, they were looking good during the first part of game number 3, but man, did things go south fast.
Yeah, one hook lands, changes the whole thing, Captain Flowers. You wake up from a nightmare, you've been sweating in your bed. Oh no, TSM is at the gates already. Our Nexus is dead. Now it's match point, okay? No more mistakes. Nobody can afford to, give up a team fight like that, because honestly, I think TSM do deserve praise for how off of that play, they are decisively able to finish up an entire ace for this team fight, get the Baron, push in on the base, and clean up, the game to push us to this state right now where all of the pressure is on EG, and we have had just back to back to back to back same team sides for both of these teams, with all of them opting into blue side here for TSM, red side for EG. So it does feel like there's not as much wiggle room left for EG to make, and they're just thinking like, yeah, we just need to not make those mistakes. Like, clean up your play, just don't get hit, basically, is the advice.
Right, because I mean, back in game number 1, the first 2 games of this series were pretty big stomps for whichever side, right? TSM with a very one-sided victory in game 1. Evil Genius is doing the same in game 2. Game number 3 was the first time we really got to see what looked like a dynamic shift in the way the game was working. So Evil Geniuses know they got what it takes to get ahead. They just have to avoid those tragic moments that TSM has the ability to find. It was Sword Art, man, the one dredge line that changed game 3. And now here we are, finding ourselves 2-1 for TSM in the series, heading into Champ Select for game 4. The bans are going to look similar to what we saw in number 3 here, as TSM are fine allowing that rise through. Even when they let it through in game number 3, Evil Geniuses did not elect to pick it. They would rather have Jizuke on the Yone back then. So it's Echo, Gnar, and Renekton all banned away from TSM. And we see the Power of Evil's Azir again banned out by Evil Geniuses. Hecarim also taken off the table. Where's that last ban coming in? Will it be our buddy Olaf?
Welcome to Run It Back City, Captain Flowers, because unless that last ban is Udyr, we are getting the same outcome here from TSM. Okay, so they do leave up Olaf, just assuming again, and probably rightly so, that TSM will pick the Udyr up. This is an interesting choice, though. Honestly, I actually do have a higher priority on the Udyr than the Olaf, so I think this is another small little adjustment from EG. To further focus on PoE's champ pool. Yep, and there it is, even with the other options open. I'm still sticking to it. So this should be Rel Tristana. There's no reason to deviate here for EG, either on their side. And then we expect, of course, the Xayah on the side of TSM. I feel like we're in Groundhog's Day here, Captain Flowers.
Okay, let's see it. They're hovering over a couple of different things. Feels like they're just sort of clowning around with them a little bit. Tristana's still available. Where's our Tristana lock-in? We've already got the Rel. I hate this. You already know it's their jungler. Lilia's not going to be taken away. Tristana's available.
Are they saying, hey, the rocket jump is too unwieldy for Deathly? You got hit by that hook. You're off, Tristana, dude.
Oh, man.
Is that what this is? Because honestly, or they could have, a bait in the works. They're trying to bait TSM into taking it. Every team has jumped on the opportunity for this, for bottom side matchup. I will say that Lost You know, did have some aggressive, you know, face checking in the last game. So if you're not on something that does have really good defensive properties like the Xayah, then you might get a little bit worried. I like this wrinkle though. At least we're keeping it fresh, Flowers.
Yeah, buddy.
We do get the other look, but because of the rise in priority on banning away PoE's champ pool, you know, with the Orianna, TSM, wait, we have to grab the Syndra in round 1 here. We have to grab it and just allow Sword Art to eat 2 more bans that support role coming up from EG after their pick and jump
Didn't
on.
hurt him last time.
So now we got to
hurt him last time.
What was the bait from EG? Definitely, this has been one of his favorite champions. Honestly, this just could be the I have more comfortable status here with Kai'Sa, even though Tristana is so powerful right now. He has so many games with Kai'Sa, most played champion here, and has a lot of success with EG on it.
Okay, Kai'Sa locked in. Kai'Sa versus Tristana. Both of these champions at the top tier of marksman for pretty much a long while now. Kai'Sa especially. Tristana feels like a little bit more of a recent thing, but Kai'Sa's been up there for quite a while. Now we will get to see how these bans shape up, and here's something. The Nocturne banned away, despite the fact that Impact was able to deal with Huni rather easily in the 1v1 there with the Volley Bear. Huni's impact later on in the game, how much value you can get out of the Paranoia there in a team fight. Remember that definitely when he was on that Tristana, the Paranoia on the back end made it so it was difficult for him to understand where the threats were coming from in that big team fight in mid that changed the game. So I like the Nocturne ban here. Again, switching things up some. Lucian will remain banned away. They want to keep Jizuke off of that. Nautilus will be banned out. All right, they are recognizing what the catalysts for the turn were. They are specifically saying, nope, not again. We will not have a repeat of game number 3. So Nautilus is banned away, but hey, there's still the Rakan, there's still the Alistar that were both banned last time around. Of course, Rakan's priority falls a little bit without Xayah over there. Yone's banned away too, so both teams making a couple adaptations away from the game 3 rosters, and Jizuke's bringing back the Nico.
Insta-lock here, too. Slams it down into the Syndra. He's loving the early matchup here. Nico can get a good push on Syndra, and you do have pretty good ult trading, too, because you do get that extra safety with Nico if you're able to get close enough and just go for the all-in with Syndra. I'm pretty sure Jizuke is you know, going to look for possible all-in opportunities there. Again, it is a double AP magic type for mid lane and jungle for them, with Svenskeren having this high priority on Lilia, you know, all series long though. So maybe we see some early magic resistance in the works for Power of Evil. No surprise there with the Alistar lock-in. Goes unbanned this time around, snapped up. I do just think it's so comical that EG got both parts out of the game-losing play, just out of this game. They're like, no way, we are not picking Tristana anymore. You have it, and we're banning away the Nautilus. So they really want to avoid the same interaction. And it does go for the split push look here for Huni. Gonna be the Camille. The only wrinkle left to adjust here is that is he going to, depending on matchup, go for the more risky Ignite top side for lane dominance? Because Udyr will be pulled in multiple directions here. A Tristana Alistar lane on bottom side into Kai'Sa Rell. That has huge potential for Snowball. That can be a very volatile lane. And so it's not like Spica. Yeah, it's not like Spica can just focus on Huni on top side on Ignite though. So is going to have to choose the pathing carefully here from TSM. Both side lanes having to play accordingly on both these matchups here. In fact, I do like the Aatrox into Camille, but the Ignite gives you that all-in potential to cut through the self-healing from Aatrox and to actually go for the kill, you know, especially if you bring the jungler.
And remember, the previous game that Huni played this Camille with the Ignite teleport, this was the game that Evil Geniuses stomped. Huni tried to play aggro very early on. He was punished. He got caught out despite the fact that he came back into the game a little bit with some good rotations after the fact. Just not having that flash seemed to be so exploitable by Evil Geniuses. And now they'll have to run that back if they want to take us to game number 5. Get them silver scrapes and stay alive here against TSM. Also, Tristana Alistar down there in the bottom lane. You were saying maybe Evil Geniuses, they just want to put Deathly on the comfort pick, let him play the Kai'Sa, give the Tristana over to the other side. But hey, man, now you're staring down the barrel of the bazooka machine gun that is Tristana. So they better be ready to play around this.
And remember in the last game too, we did have Lost doing some, very frontline AD carry play with, face checking Rel a couple of times. And we've seen Tristana well equipped to do that on Rocket Jump. So eyes are definitely going to be on this bottom lane. A lot of potential to carry here. Both of them looking for them to step up. But honestly, I really like when we do have this. Multiple lanes across the map that can be volatile. So there's a lot of options for junglers to get involved, and try and set this up. Definitely excited for this one because it's match point for TSM. Yeah. They said they're in their comfort zone here in the lower bracket now. They got the early advantage in this series of EG. They want to make another run like they did at the end of 2020, trying to run back the entire lower bracket to get that victory, claim that championship.
All right, here we go. Evil Geniuses either wins this game or this is their last game of the mid-season showdown. Lower bracket means no more second chances, man. No more opportunities to fix those mistakes. It is all on the line for the Evil Geniuses. Jizuke back on the Nico. We saw a good game on this from him earlier back in game number 2. He will transform into Rel right in front of Power of Evil. I'm going to assume that Power of Evil knows what he's up to here. Doesn't look like we're seeing any tricky behavior from either team here at level 1. Spica steps forward a little bit, sees Svenskeren, walks right back away.
All right, the real challenge. Which one of us is going to be looking at only minimap and be confused by the fact that Nico's still, her passive changes the icon on the minimap? That just, for observers, I feel like is so troll because if they're not on screen, can't see that it's just the pink iteration of another champion. I'm going to say that I'll be the one to take the hit. I'm going to have, some attempt at another flanking champion there. Jizuke, though, is at least mid lane, so we can keep track of him there. Ignite top side, and we are going to have what looks like bottom side jungle start, at least for Svenskeren here. Let's try and head up towards the Ignite lane. Once again on the Lilia here, starting blue. Very effective for him. Gets the pull off the bottom lane. Definitely expending the Q. Kais has a very good pull for junglers. You can greatly accelerate this Lilia along the path up towards Huni.
Okay, Huni just walking up there, wants to trade with Impact, walking inside the range of the sweet spot on Q2. Huni dropping down the ward on the Krugs, considering those Krugs are still up, and both of these junglers wanting to do those full clears. TSM's got a good idea that Svenskeren is indeed starting on that bottom part of the map. So what we want to see here from Huni is what we saw from Huni in the previous game, playing it safe. Nice interrupt there on the crash down. Sword Art making sure that he's got that tricky timing that you mentioned back at the start of the series down to interrupt Wells' early engages.
Yeah, some people cast the Q too late after she's past the apex of the jump on the crash down. It's not super hard to do, but if we have seen people mess it up if you're not paying attention and not being able to get it in time, then you get the awkward situation where the knockup does still hit from the crash down, and she gets her aftershock plus the opening there for the engage, and then you're stuck in the fight. Meanwhile, Spica went for the invade up here off of that ward on Krugs. Does circle all the way around Svenskeren.
Around the Rosie.
We got a little ring around the Rosie jungle edition. We're not done yet. Just keep chasing them.
And look at that. It's going to be a fight over in mid lane at the same time as supports are rotating in. Another interrupt from Sword Art to stop another engage from Ignar. Svenskeren and Spica, they're both going after the red, but it got tired of this. It lost all its patience, and now it'll reset back to full HP. Spica wishes he could stay the same. However, the Eep comes down. Svenskeren's now the one down below 200 HP. TSM willing to commit for this. Svenskeren does have his smite ready to go here. Does not want to use it just yet. Red buff about to reset for the second time. TSM commits 4 bodies to the top side jungle of the Evil Geniuses. And red buff resets for the third time. And everybody leaves the scene of the crime.
Let me regale you with the story of the TSM EG Game 4 red buff. This red buff lasted the longest that we've ever had a red buff survive, and it wasn't without many assailants. But in the end, they all give up on it and go right back home. Full reset there as Spica was chunked out and chased off of it. Teleports coming in from the mid laners. And honestly, I can't wait for the epic follow-up on it. Episode 2 of red buff inside EG's jungle. Gonna be a banger, I'm sure.
Episode 2, Attack of the Buff. When will it return? It's still not even being paid any attention right now. Svenskaren's decided, all right, we'll just clear through the camps on the bottom side of the map. We'll come back and try red buff again a little bit later. That was too risky last time around there. Evil Geniuses, they successfully defended though, right? That's the thing. TSM wasn't able to steal it away. And now Svenskaren just gets to have his red buff timer for a little bit longer. He'll have an effective red buff here when he hits around level 5. Maybe he can get some ganks done with that one. Hooney's still feeling comfy up there in the top lane as well. Because of the fact that Svenskaren wasn't able to get things rolling with his red, that means that, hey, they couldn't focus on Hooney. So the Ignite strategy working out all right so far.
All right, we got a quick pause. We got to check on how the red buff is feeling after all this involvement. You know, that was an overwhelming, it's kind of claustrophobic. So, you know, when you have this many people, everyone's teleporting around, really closing in on you.
Red buff's an introvert.
Honestly, it's kind of funny, but it does set up a big difference in this game compared to the rest of the match, where Spica previously had at this point already a 1-2 camp lead. And by defending that red buff, that was an inefficient route to head over there for the invade. And since TSM don't actually pull it off and take away any of those camps, now Lilia is sitting at actual even crabs with Spica, plus has the extra camp here to do. So this is actually the best that Svenskaren has come into this matchup with the Lilia side, considering they're actually able to defend it and waste a lot of Spica's time in traveling to and from this possible invade there. And being able to secure bottom side scuttle as well off of that for EG is really big.
All right, quick update for y'all. Looks like the pause is due to a player DC. I do not have any further details right now, but hopefully we'll be able to get ourselves back into the game rather swiftly. The red buff's still available on the table. No kills have been made just yet. We haven't seen any pressure into the top side onto Hooney, and it looks like I've been told that we've got about 1 minute before we're back in the game, so no long pauses here just yet. Should be back in just a moment. Evil Geniuses having Svenskaren with that good start like you're talking about. Very important here, Kobe, because I feel like every single game, Spica's been the one getting TSM out to a nice objective lead. And even when Evil Geniuses had their win in game number 2, even when Evil Geniuses had their lead in game number 3, they were the ones that always had to take the second dragon, right? It was always TSM getting out there first.
Yeah, and honestly, it's going to be pretty interesting because the bottom lane too has been a big impact on it. And you notice how jungle plays off that so much, and so many of these early dragons have been Spica heading over to Lost in Sword Art. Last game around, Lost in Sword Art burning these summoner spells off of the EG bottom lane and giving him room to play with. But now, not only did they lose jungle pressure there with the attempted invade, but that was Hooney rotating over on the Camille, allowing Impact actually to get a bunch of extra CS there for the Aatrox at his tower, and even up what some of this pressure of the Ignite Camille could have in the isolated scenario there. So definitely going to see how this extra breathing room for EG does play out early on. I think it will turn into a pretty quick level 6 for the Lilia, pretty quick setup here for him. So it is still going to be about a little bit of the volatility of both of these side lane matchups, and they're better equipped now to actually try and capitalize on that rather than constantly being on this back foot, like you're talking about for the early game where TSM Spica had gotten first Dragon and first Rift Herald for almost every single game of the entire series.
And update number 2, I am afraid I may have cast or cursed it. It appears the player reconnected and then immediately DC'd back again. So League Ops are currently investigating the problem. I will update you guys again when we know any more information. The other thing that I'm waiting to see once we get back into the game is mid lane rotations to the fights. Both these teams, Kobe, seem to be wanting to fight in the river, fight around some of these objectives, fight around bottom lane. And whichever mid laner can get there first, remember back to game number 1, the 4v4 in the bottom lane, Power of Evil rotates over, Jizuke doesn't. And that's what ends up winning that big fight for TSM. Lets him get the follow-up, lets him get all the kills. Game number 2, it's Jizuke who's able to come collapse, or excuse me, it was actually game number 3, just this past one that we watched, where Jizuke on the Yone rotates into the bottom side river, gives 2 free kills over to Evil Geniuses. That's so important. Mid lane rotations, I feel like, have such a massive say in how these early fights end up going.
And I think honestly here, the Nico should have the inside step because Jizuke, you can see him constantly looking for these positions for the routes through the minions, but also the AoE is a little bit easier for Nico early on at least to try and push on Syndra. The level 6, of course, you always have to respect that burst potential from the Syndra, but Nico's is very strong in skirmish situations because you can lock up multiple members with it. So I think it is going to be both teams keeping pretty close track of the minion wave push. And pros often use this term, at least in North America, they do, of unlocking laners. And it's something where the jungle or even the support will come gank your lane, but not all inning just for a kill, just to try and unlock you to push out a minion wave to then allow you to be the next to the objective or the next to the play that they're trying to set up. It's kind of the first step in a progression of plays you're trying to get out that you want to involve your mid laner. And we've seen that throughout this series where, multiple times it has been either Spica or Sword Art trying to unlock Power of Evil or Huni in the case when he's playing Nocturne to be able to come to some of these plays. And honestly, EG have thus far done it a little bit better, getting impact, on the move. And as we're saying for some of the Rift Tails for Jizuke as well.
Update number 3. We are attempting a PC restart here for the player experiencing the DC issues. Looks like we've got an ETA of a couple of minutes if that solves the problem. So cross your fingers. Hopefully that works out and we can get back into the game here really soon. I do want to see how this shakes out. You know that this has got to be, especially for Evil Geniuses, this has got to be a super frustrating situation. You're at this critical moment. You've got to be able to stay alive, fight for your life in this series. And the pause can just make it that much more mentally taxing to keep your brain focused on the game and just stay laser focused on where it needs to be.
Yeah, thankfully, we've all got SSDs nowadays, so the restart should be quicker. No longer are the days where you actually have to wait like 5 minutes for it to pop
hated that.
Honestly,
that was always the worst, man. The very first time I got an SSD was actually after I moved out here. After I moved out to LA. Up until I was like 27, I had the old kind of hard drive. I don't even know what it's called. I'm not very smart about computers. The old one, though. I had that thing, and the first time I went to an SSD and my computer was able to boot up in under a couple minutes, I was like, what is this sorcery? I'm not going to lie to you, man. I turned my computer off and back on again 4 or 5 different times just to watch it boot up.
Yeah.
I have to see the magic.
There's no way. You're actually lying. Don't tell me you're not going to lie to me and then tell me a lie. You do not.
If you lived 20... How old was I when I moved out here? 27. If you lived 26 years with having to wait for that stupid old computer to boot up, and then you finally got it to boot up in 10 seconds, you mean to tell me you wouldn't immediately just click turn off, press the button, watch it turn back on, and watch that monitor light up in 10 seconds? You wouldn't do that a couple of times. You wouldn't savor that.
Nah, dog. I mean, I'll do it when there's a necessity to restart update or something.
I had to make sure it wasn't a fluke.
All right.
Come
I like
on,
it.
man.
The miracle of technology, entertaining Flowers. I love it. Honestly, now that we're just going off on these tangents and we got some time for me to
what stories you got for me?
It's time to flame Travis because he never turns his computer off. I feel like that there's no excuse for that nowadays. That causes problems for your operating system. There's SSDs. It turns back on quickly. There's no excuse. All right, back to the game though. Let's focus.
I thought you were going to go on a deeper tangent. You tell me 2 sentences about Travis. I was expecting this to transfer into something about why you deserve to get a pet cat. Everybody, we got to get you a cat, man.
That is true. Hashtag cat for Kobe, still going strong. Cat Gems.
Yeah, somebody
Cat Gems in the chat, please.
Help Kobe out with that, man. If Travis is allowed to leave the computer on all day, Kobe should get to have a cat.
Fair enough. I like the argument. Back to the actual matchup, though. As we are still on match point, don't let this distract you from the fact that TSM, are on the brink of moving on through the lower bracket here. And I think they do have a good setup in this game to actually do it. The only wrinkle that's been thrown in is that red buff defended, red buff invade, which does kind of, change a little bit of some of these side lane matchups and even the mid lane here for them. So I think that, and Svenskeren hasn't gotten his recall off yet, he'll be able to full buy Boots of Lucidity off his first recall here because he still has Raptors, Red, and possibly Krugs to be able to do on his towards the top side clear. Meanwhile, Spica now locked in as Udyr to finish up his blue quadrant. I think actually gives EG a lot better setup time for this. So I'm very curious to see once we get the restart off and get back into it, if we do have them just finishing off both quadrants of their jungle, because if you don't nowadays without catch-up experience and you let your jungle respawn timers get behind, you're going to be down there at support level, at AD carry experience level, and you won't get to have that impact on the solo lanes, or you're going to have to play a lot more cautiously and not have to worry about the solo lane, just turning on you and getting that burst kill, especially if you're going into something like Syndra.
I feel like that's one of the problems that causes so many complaints from people about autofilled junglers in solo queue. People don't think enough about making sure those camps are on good timers, making sure they're on good rotations.
But
I got this guy who's only played mid lane champions all season. All of a sudden, he's locking in Lee Sin, setting up shop in a brush for 60 seconds until he gets bored, goes back, throws a Q, misses it, walks to his Wraith camp that got counter jungled 30 seconds ago. It's not quite the strat. Make sure you're cycling your camps. But right now, we're going to cycle on back to the analyst desk here while we triage some tech issues. So State Farm Analyst Desk, take it away.
Thank you very much, Captain Flowers. I know that these are 4 faces you do not want to be seeing right now. You'd much rather see some champions back on the Rift. But we're going to do our best to keep you entertained. Well, let's be honest. All of us here would rather see the players playing than see us talking in this moment. But that's all right. Technical stuff happens, right? Technical stuff happens, and it's our job to keep you entertained while that's getting resolved. So I know the casters talked a little bit about champion select themselves, but of course, I'm always interested to see where your 3 minds are landing on this champion select and how the teams approached Game 4 and Series Point a little bit differently. So Raz, I'm going to come to you first because there's a few things that jump out at me, most notably the fact that Tristana is not on the side of EG at this point, as well as we get the Nico back in the mid lane, which they found a lot of success with.
Yeah, so there are a few things that I think were really puzzling for me with Evil Geniuses, and the Tristana letting that one go is the first one. She's a great champion. If you want to flex her, fine. I know I've been harping on that for a little bit, but even if you just want to keep her bot lane, I thought last game had nothing to do with the champion pick and what happened. It literally had nothing to do with the champion. Yeah. Yeah. So like, I think he rolled back it. And I think another issue that I also had was that your 5 pick, counter pick to the Camille that you see the full draft is in Aatrox. That Camille is chomping at the bits to go into. So if I'm looking at Evil Genius's draft, I think they have winning lanes in bot lane, or at least TSM has winning lanes, top lane, bot lane, and should have range through mid. I just really enjoy, playing through TSM's draft.
Yeah, and I totally agree on the Tristana point from a high level perspective. I think the honest answer is it might just be a little bit of tilt, right? Like you were playing Tristana, you got caught on Nautilus. The solution is not don't play Tristana, but that might have been the response. We also saw them ban Nautilus going into ban phase. Into the second ban phase. So I think it might just be a lack of confidence on the part of EG, which is just troubling in general when you look at this game, because it just doesn't really feel like they got that much value out of Red Side. In the prior games, we saw Volibear to Nocturne do super well, and just generally we saw picks where impact under the right conditions could snowball the game. It seems a lot harder in this situation, particularly now that Spica's been bullied out of his jungle by the entire team and is not able to actually assist top.
Yeah, we had that red buff per
I don't.
No, go ahead.
I don't have too much issues with the Aatrox and the Camille. I think the lane matchup is actually fine. Also, I think just the main thing is the Nocturne ban puts him on Camille, and we saw earlier he is kind of running it down. So it's not necessarily like I think Aatrox counters Camille in lane. It's just the fact that I think Huni's Camille is countering himself more often than that. But that red buff invade I think is actually really bad from TSM. It puts Spica's clear really awkwardly. If you saw what happened after Sun, they both pathed down, but Spica doesn't get to path back up without it being awkward, whereas Sven just gets to path down, take that crab, and full clear again. So he's basically up 2 camps of tempo. So I guess I don't really know what they're going for with that invade. I don't know. They lost creeps top, they lost creeps mid, and then they fall behind in tempo in the jungle. So if there's some jungler out there that wants to tell me why Spica went that hard for that red one buff invade, feel free to enlighten me. But to me, that just seems like he's trolling or he's trying to ego over Sven for some reason. I'm not sure, to be honest.
Yeah, a bit of a confusing moment in that game. I mean, even the players themselves seemed a bit confused, if we're being honest. We got 4 players from TSM roaming into the jungle, everybody trying to play defense, Jizuke TPing in, and then ultimately everybody walks away from the red buff anyway. You heard Kobe go on the saga of the red buff. He'll have tales to tell his red buff friends in the future for how long he lived. But you know, again, it is such a curiosity to me that EG moved away from a few of those pieces that were working. Now, one thing they did hold on to, though, that did seem to be working is Ignar's Rel.
Right. I got a question for you guys right here. Since we did predictions earlier in the day, obviously I'm already wrong with my prediction. I said 3-1 in favor of EG, and TSM has 2 games here.
Okay.
Granted, EG should have won last game, so my prediction would have been on, on track. But how's this game looking up for you guys? When you see this draft and you see how the game is currently playing, do you feel like TSM is going to win this game? I know it's only 4 to 5 minutes in the game, but usually you can tell how the pace of the game is going. And draft, who do you have winning this game specifically?
I think it's TSM, and I say this as a person who predicted that EG would win the series. I think prior to this, when I look at the number of quality drafts that EG had, where they had clear win conditions, ability to get impact ahead, we saw Sven playing a lot better in terms of creating pressure on Spica and being smart about having discipline and knowing when to back off in like the TF game. We're not really seeing that here so much, and it's just hard to see like what is the way for EG to win this game decisively. Unless something happens top where I think Huni plays, I don't think Impact's going to be getting a lot of like solo kills, nor do I think that there's going to be opportunities for Sven to gank. I think we've seen that Spica is going to prioritize playing around top because that's been a deciding point all series, and it's been the reason why TSM's fallen behind. So I think it's going to be TSM. That said, maybe EG has something available that I haven't seen yet.
Yeah, I just think that there is no pressure whatsoever for TSM this game. Like, as long as the game goes on, Tristana is going to scale, Alistar is going to be more relevant, and the Camille is just going to pull more pressure to side lanes. So if you're Evil Geniuses, a lot of the fights is I think you have to play towards Soul Point. You have to be on the objective first, and then goad TSM to fight into you. Because then that's easy for you to play out your composition, right? Then it's easier for Aatrox to do what he's got to do. You have the Nico mid lane that could press ulti and basically make the Alistar or Camille engage null and void. So I'd see that being the desperation for EG and how they want to play this game.
Okay, but hold up, because Primal, when we talked about play styles for both of these teams, they were exactly the opposite of what Raz just described. We talk about the success that EG's found. It's not by being the first to the objective, it's by collapsing and finding the skirmishes. So did they draft themselves into a hole here, by virtue of how they are best, able to play the game?
I think to an extent, like I think one of the win conditions is also get impact ahead, right? Like get him looks where he can take over the game. And I don't really feel like they got that ability, right? We were talking about Camille versus Aatrox. It's not super clear that Aatrox is like very good into Camille, and the ignite on Camille allows Camille to get to a point where even once Aatrox has a lot of regen online, the ignite allows Huni to contest. So I think they have to look for, honestly, TSM to make a mistake, because I don't think there's too many proactive opportunities. That said, Ignar has had some really, really good rel engages this entire series. So if it's any player who I think still has the individual agency to turn it around, I do think it's Ignar.
That's true. I actually think he's really important in this game. I think if you're EG, you have to be paying the utmost attention to making your own plays around enemy flash timers being down, and Syndra has to be the target. So I think if you got Syndra, anything, full force, send it. Kaisa, just go for it. Like, that's what I want to see. Especially if you're, match point against you. If Evil Geniuses have to pull out everything or your season is done, you have to find those plays. And, who better for, your support player to be the one to make it happen? I have a lot of faith in him to do it on the rel.
Well, I've got good news, gentlemen. Just as it appears, we have fully encapsulated the state of the game currently and given our thoughts on draft. The tech issues, I'm being told, have been resolved. So we're going to go ahead and pass it back over to Captain Flowers and Kobe to get us back in the game.
Welcome back, friends. It is time to return to some League of Legends. Kobe still don't got a cat. Svenskeren still don't got a red buff, but we've got a game to watch here. And I hope that we jump right back into the action, man. Coming off that red buff play, I know that everybody's just chomping at the bit, ready to go.
I can tell you're already getting worried, like, all right, I think we're getting back into it. Let's get ready to jungle!
Let's do it, baby. Right back into the game. 5 minutes in. No kills on the board just yet. Looking back at the state of the game, making sure we all know what's going down. Both mid laners have already used their TP, getting back to lane after their first base. Both just picking up an extra starting item there with a tier for Power of Evil, the Dark Seal for Jizuke, and Speak is up here on the top side. Impact's pretty far forward. Ignite already dropped. Spica with the flash. Bear, slap, get it done. Impact trying to survive a little bit longer, but it's first blood. And now the Hextech ultimatum. Goodbye, Lilia. Make it 2-for-1 special. TSM popping off in the top lane.
Oh, that is a big one, Flowers. What a big one it is, because guess what? The red buff is now TSM's. They completed the invade by killing off Svenskeren. They actually wear the red. Honestly, this is going to be so big for Ignite Camille top here for Huni. Uh-oh, Jizuke, though.
Oh, Jizuke, you don't want to die to Power of Evil in a solo kill, man. Not after already giving away 2 kills in the top lane here. Evil Geniuses at least keeps their mid laner alive, but he has got to get back to base and heal up.
Whew, yeah, definitely a close one there for him. Relies on the extra shield, though. Here, I was trying to look for an angle for Impact to flash, but Udyr is just so quick that he was able to get in there and flash on him beforehand, so not enough space gained. Maybe if he had been able to flash maybe over the back of the alcove there or something to buy more time for Svenskeren to get there. But honestly, I feel like they lose that 2v2 regardless. Svenskeren was on the way, but the move speed just not there for him. If you can't stack up the passive on Krugs or something first to be able to get over there with fully stacked passive, then Udyr Bear Stance is going to win out every day of the week. And Spica, the extra couple seconds, Flowers. There's so many plays in this series that have been an extra couple seconds of movement from one team or the other and trying to get to this play that really make the difference. There, the focus fire onto Impact, grabbing that kill. Now the Camille, with the Sheen early buy and the grab bag of your starter items here. Basically, one of every type of knife, please. You go into the shop and just order. How many knives can I hold? Well, Huni can hold at least 4.
Yeah, we got a butter knife, a steak knife, cheese knife, a bread knife, and a shiny rock, and a cookie. So there's all sorts of stuff here in his inventory. Meanwhile, Impact has a bonk hammer. And that's about it. Spica is about to give him a bad time here in the top side. This time we got a true 2v2 breaking out. Huni decides he wants to jump on in. Svenskeren with a 2-man sleep. Watch out, Eve. Impact grabbing the first kill. Huni's trying to run away. Power of Evil providing a little bit of extra help here for his buddy. But the blooming blows get it done. The kill goes over to Jizuke. Evil Geniuses strike back.
Ooh, they don't waste any time with it either. This time around, no timing difference. They chase him into the fog of war there, and Svenskeren heads up. Level 6 Lilia, let me tell you, that power difference between a level 6 power spike for Udyr is monumental. And Rift Herald actually getting teleported on, so they want to fight the aftermath.
Here they go. Sword Art's the one taking some damage here at the start. Has to flash away. Evil Geniuses under some pressure now with the engage coming through and Impact immediately dying. Huni wanting to continue forward. Hextech ultimatum guarantees kill number 2. Can they make it 3? Doesn't look like they can close the distance onto Svenskeren, but TSM's going to take that fight.
What a series, Flowers. This is why it's so fun. No team letting the other one get out alive, and it's true for Sword Art as well. Jizuke lets him have it.
Beef for dinner, my friends. Jizuke is not a vegetarian Nico here in this game number 4. He's guaranteeing this game is just going to be blow for blow the whole way through.
All right, that's just going to be a message from the pause. Disregard that. No extra interaction there. Speak, you can see, has already made his way back up to the tri-brush and is planning on camping top side. Here's another look at it, though, and I like that TSM make this call because they know there's no Lilia ultimate or Aatrox ultimate this time around. So you easily get that pick, and then with Rel wearing metal pants, she cannot walk in water, okay? There's no way she's getting out of this river. She can't walk anywhere with the metal pants, but the river, least of all. Then even through exhaust, really good burst there from Jizuke. We're right back out to the action, though. Flowers top lane is banging.
We don't even have time to go over all the plays, man. We're already back to the PvP in top lane. Evil Genius is sending their jungler up there once more. Svenskeren has the Eye of the Herald here ready to go. Impact tries to go for a little bit of Q damage here. Huni avoiding the first couple of sweet spots, winning out in the trade. And you can see on the left side of your screen right here, it's Jizuke, the richest man on the Rift, 10 minutes into this one.
Yeah, definitely got to keep track of where all of these kills are going. Jizuke has 2 of the last hits for himself, but also has been pushing in the Syndra early on, really trying to abuse that early power of Neeko. This champion does not scale nearly as well as so many of the other, control mage options for mid lane, which is why Neeko is not as frequently picked by really any of the other teams around the world. And is much more sparsely used when you want to play early aggressive skirmishes. But here we go, definitely all in.
Okay, definitely going in for the kill. On to Lost with a flash away from that point-blank W from the Kaisa. Oh, but the root onto Power of Evil stops him from being able to teleport down into the fight. This one was hectic all over across a couple of different lanes. Jizuke stopping Power of Evil's summoner spell there. Definitely barely missing out on being able to get the kill thanks to a well-timed flash from Lost. And the entire time, it was Spica grabbing the first Drake of the game here for TSM thanks to the bot pressure once again.
So TSM, they still get the first dragon in this game as well, continuing their streak of the series. Sword Art does block the W, allowing the recall to go off. Important for the reset here because that timer would have been what EG won out of the bottom side play. And since they don't even get that, this is very big for TSM. Yeah, they still have a little bit of problem in the mid lane with Jizuke's Neeko, but as I said before, it doesn't scale nearly as well. Has a lot shorter range in some of these team fights, and you see PoE actually already using the knockback on Syndra Scatter the Weak pretty effectively to disengage from some attempted Jizuke ultimates. So TSM, despite losing the first turret, oh, and maybe Spica.
Oh boy, flashing over the wall. He's just fine for now, but the chase continues. Evil Geniuses don't want to give this one away, but they have to. Spica walking all the way to the left to avoid the follow-up CC from Jizuke. Stays alive.
Yep, able to get away from the chain as well. Not long enough time for it to expire. It's going to be a trade, and TSM, once they finish up this tower, they will actually slingshot ahead in gold. Never mind. It's going to be the teleport in.
Not if they both get turned into loot pinatas, my friend. Lost is just going to have to buy as much time as he can. Sword Art will be killed off here. Impact taking that kill, definitely gets the other. And Evil Geniuses are right back in the driver's seat.
It's a yo-yo, Flowers. Get ahead. But EG double teleports expended to answer here. And that's just going to mean that they race the Camille on top side. Huni will stay top, work through some turret plates on top side. Meanwhile, EG trying to funnel deftly. Remember in Champ Select, they made the unorthodox move to not pick up the Tristana, even in the current meta, and opt for deftly comfort on his Kaisa. He's definitely performing well in it already in this game. You can see why he has preferred it the entire season as most played champion. That definitely will allow EG to actually converge on some of the longer range plays that they like to make. You know, Jizuke fishing around, landing CC with the Neeko, trying to make plays off mid. You can Kaisa Killer Instinct in and finish some of these people off. They actually didn't stick around on bottom side and get the extra turret plate there for him, though. Does have enough to finish his Kraken at least, and EG defend a decent amount on top side after their reset. As you can see, Svenskeren and Ignar have actually been working together a lot more in their attempts with the jungle and support synergy to control this vision.
Well, now the turret plating has fallen, with one turret being taken for each side before that occurred. We'll see which team's able to snowball better from this point. You can see the silver grayed out hourglass there on your minimap near that Baron pit. which means second Rift Herald will be spawning here in just a little while. Evil Genius is rotating up towards the top side, and TSM doing the same. This is looking like the precursor to a team fight, my friend.
Get your tickets now, people. Get your tickets now, because it looks like 10 in the pit is an inevitability. EG are heading over through the jungle, definitely trying to push that wave in, but TSM, let's see about the positioning. Huni needs to look for a flank on the backside. Watch Jizuke. He's got flash on the Nico.
Okay, the Rift Herald's already down. It's been claimed by TSM. They've taken the objective, and Evil Geniuses is looking to take the fight. Sword Art wants to walk off to the side. Power of Evil's going to continue getting chased. Impact wants the damage, but he finds it with a Q2. Jizuke's still alive with a bomb strapped to his head. He's finally fallen over. Definitely taking a kill onto Huni, though. Shutdown credit goes over to Lost. Ignar now stands alone. Double kill back to Deftly. Evil Geniuses kill 3 for 1.
And that's why you should always focus on the team fight. If it's a full commitment here for everybody, e.g., they actually attack one side. As you saw, TSM were split, 3 people in the pit, 2 people back here through the jungle, and EG make the call to all in engage on the 2 people, trying to gain an advantage in positioning. Here's a look at the replay. You see 3 in the pit, 2 back here. Ignar, good call going on to PoE, and they actually get the flash out. But Sword Art actually peels him pretty well for the beginning, and when Jizuke flashes forward, he doesn't even land the snare onto PoE. Thankfully for EG, though, Impact could finish the deal, and he actually gets the kill for them, allowing EG to pick up the extra kill off the back of it and the extra money. Those kills are going a long ways, actually, to give EG a big victory in that fight. The Rift Herald being second Rift Herald, not worth nearly as much as the first, and so your gold value return on even getting that objective, not as big. Regardless, though, it's not going to change the way that this game is played. You still want TSM trying to open up that side lane for Huni, pushing super hard on it. They actually send both solo laners to finish off that outer turret to ensure that they have both side lanes to work with now. And they're not even worried about giving up the Dragon to do that. Because, you know, Huni with the Ignite, with the Trinity Force now completed, is going to be the one that they're trying to get these side lane pushes with.
Man, what a close game 4 we got here. Spica steals away the enemy red buff, this time without much of a contest for it. EG cannot rotate over in time. 500 gold separates the teams, 1 Drake each. Turret advantage to the side of TSM. They do have 2-1 in that department. They also still have about half the timer left on that Rift Herald, so 2 minutes remain to summon that one up. Power of Evil will collect the blue buff here to continue giving them that infinite mana, that extra push power, and level 11, so an even stronger ulti here in the upcoming fights, wherever the teams decide to fight next.
All right, definitely going to think it's going to be around mid. That's where the last outer turret for EG is, and we have such a long timer on any of the extra neutral objectives. This is going to be the point of power for TSM. You keep your Camille top, push out the extra wave, then take that 30 seconds to roam down and look for a flank through one of these control wards. Since they've got already the early step onto the map, they actually send PoE down to bottom side since he has teleport available. Syndra doesn't have to overextend, even though it would be scary, does have teleport, and they still have their outer tower standing, so PoE can easily clear up the cannon minion wave and still be prepared to take the confrontation around this mid turret push here. EG definitely have good wave clear, though, so actually can stall it no problem.
Plenty of wave clear over here for these guys. Kai'Sa with the Acathian Rain, especially once it evolves, can do a lot of damage really fast to everything around her. Spica walks up to find a Nico clone running towards him that immediately poofs away. TSM still fighting from just the slightest of gold deficits, but summoning up the Rift Herald here in the mid lane as the timer is about to run out. Yeah, Spica takes a little damage, a little bit of poke here, but it doesn't matter too much. Lost right next to the Rift Herald. They should be able to escort this one in. Jizuke goes for the Everfrost, only gets the slow, not the stun, so Lost can get away just fine. The Rift Herald gets the charge, but they will not kill off that tier 1 turret of Evil Geniuses.
Yeah, both turrets actually with comparable health right now. I think the big difference is bottom lane push acquired for TSM, so is definitely again going to be the one elected, you know, to go get solo lane experience, and Farm looks like already, yeah, he's heading out through the jungle there. That opening with the extra 30 seconds of pushing here from PoE could be when TSM try and converge. But you see Ignar, you know, popping the extra Scryer's Bloom right there and being able to have all these control wards through jungle. With vision control comes safety for EG, and they don't have to give up anything.
No sacrifices needing to be made. Feels good, man. And look at that Thornmail coming online for Impact. Very important pickup there. Remember that Bramble Vest only works if you get auto attack to apply Grievous Wounds, while Thornmail anytime you immobilize an opponent. So anytime he hits a sweet spot on one of those Qs, he's applying Grievous Wounds to whoever he strikes. So pretty important upgrade. With these next team fights potentially only a couple minutes away, it is that third Drake of the game. It's Infernal Rift here yet again, and it's about 100 seconds out. Spica rotating up here towards the top lane, finds Impact waiting in the brush. Huni jumps over the wall here with a hook shot. Impact trying to stand and fight, trying to buy enough time here for Jizuke to make his way in with a pop blossom, and that looked awesome. Impact gets over the wall, but now the follow-up is there, and TSM makes it a 1-for-1. Impact's running away, but it's Lost who will be the first one to find him here in the river. Impact continues moving forward. Q1 misses. Q2's not going to do a whole lot here just yet. Impact's taken down, but a nice interrupt means it's 1-for-1. Impact for Lost there. So 2 dead for TSM, 2 dead for Evil Geniuses. The fight breaks even.
I'm wondering why he hesitated initially on seeing Impact there on the fruit, because I've seen a lot of Tristana players. As soon as you see, 300-400 health, Aatrox there, maybe he's like, Gorge Blaster, heal. But yeah, I was really feeling like that is a moment of just blast him. Rocket jump on his freaking head, get that explosive shot out.
Yeah.
Full combo with your ult, Hail of Blades should be able to burst it. But as you mentioned, it's a full Thornmail Aatrox. So look at this. Like, he lasts longer in the skirmishes. It's more for teamfight, and Jizuke does come in with the Pop Blossom. They get the initial kill. PoE answering teleports means that is answered back there for TSM too. But yeah, maybe it's the fully completed Thornmail that makes you second guess, and maybe it is back up. You see the active there for the Gore Drinker. So. A little bit cautious of that, but that buys enough time at least for the counter kill onto the Tristana. So because he didn't immediately execute, does get the counter kill there for EG, and we're still looking at a very even dragon fight. Being chased off on the bottom side here, Huni, the flank is not going to be an option for him. EG run him all the way out of the pit.
Okay, it's team fight time. Dragon's down to 1K. It's been scaring going in, but overall it's Lost who gets the thing. Okay. Neither one of the junglers' smites comes through, so that just means it's up to Tristana to get it done. Evil Geniuses are not able to punish TSM, and they walk away from this engagement without ever engaging and taking the objective for free. Okay, now they're trying to follow it up a little bit, but Spica's too fast, man. Udyr runs real fast. That's what his champion does. It's about all he does, but he does it really well.
Certainly does. Honestly, I really thought it was going to be a little bit harder of a force of EG on this dragon fight. Push in, since they had zoned off Huni so well. And Huni was not going to have a good flank target, even if it took him an extra couple seconds to come up through Tribrush, which was warded by EG. I mean, just look right now. Look at those 5 wards. They created a star, basically, around Dragon with full vision on all sides for EG. But unable to slip in and actually get that dragon with the extra burst damage there. So, it's just dragon number 2, not a pivotal one.
Yeah, it's
but
a huge difference.
Yeah, it isn't going to be the determining factor here. Constantly, we're looking for these engages. Ignar on Rel. There's just so many big possibilities with this, because you can attach your E to Impact on Aatrox, who has so much mobility, and since he's built tanky like this, fully stacking a bunch of armor with Steel Caps and Thornmail, and even also getting some magic resist with a quick no magic mantle pickup here. He's a very, very tanky boy that can be a good partner here. We already see it. Ignar early attaching the E, so they could look for some possible picks for themselves there.
Well, they didn't fight when there was a dragon here, so there's not much of a reason to fight when there's not a dragon here.
But if you win a fight here, then you run to Baron. And you get some big rewards.
I see. This is why you're the smart guy, see. Now, we got the Baron up there. 24 minutes into the game, still a little bit early, especially when the teams are this close overall. You don't want to overcommit, end up throwing the whole game away on a bad Baron call here. Second items are coming online across the board for a lot of different players. We've got Tristana on the Phantom Dancer power spike now. Executioner's calling as well, also to try to deal with some of the healing from the Aatrox there on that front line. You can see the Ravenous Hydra now fully completed for Huni, as Power of Evil takes a little bit of poke. And there's Deadman's Plate for Udyr. So if you thought he ran fast earlier, it's time for him to run even faster around in these team fights. And talking about running fast, Jizuke with a Cosmic Drive completed as well. Remember the Cosmic Drive, if your name is not Veigar, you can't really rush it if you want to have the bonus, but as a second item can be very effective for giving you that movement speed that can make a big difference for a champion like Nico.
Yeah, and I love the cooldown reduction on it. It's actually just so effective for Nico, just chain casting skills, because you were talking about how frustrating it is to play against, how much crowd control is in this game for melee champs like Udyr that does have to run. Cosmic Drive on top of Everfrost combination means it's hard to run around this Nico, as there's going to be a lot of answers there. And I do like how Svenskeren has actually gone for the Liandry's version of Lilia here, because there is many targets that he can tag and get a lot of value out of this burn. It's going to be a full health stacking Udyr there. And goes a long way in actually trying to get through some of the front line on TSM.
TSM's coming in for the collapse as Evil Geniuses look to take down the Tier 1 turret. It's Sword Art starting it off. Ignar's the focus, but that guy's a tank. You can't focus the tank. TSM, they go for the play, but they can't quite find it just yet. Definitely wants to dash back over the wall, but instead he stays right here with the rest of the team. He's got the damage. He is unstoppable. Huni's the next one to fall. It is a 2-for-0 for EG. They wanted a Tier 1 turret here in the mid lane. They won't find it, but TSM give them 2 kills, and they're marching over to Baron.
They're both tanks. Yeah, turns out you can focus the tank if you got bigger guns. Definitely was able to melt right through him with the Kai'Sa. No Kai'Sa ult this time around, though, so inside the Baron pit, TSM looking for a big Syndra stun.
Okay, they gotta find some sort of a big play here to stop these guys. Ignar's almost killed, but almost is better than dead. Power of Evil's taken down. 5v2 here on the map. Let's see if Evil Geniuses can finish this off. Spica goes into the pit. Baron's taken incredibly low. Baron is stolen away by Spica. TSM is wiped for it, but a huge steal from the TSM jungler.
Look at that! He's dying with his hands in the air. I did it! Job done for the Udyr here. He runs, he blast cones in, and he finishes the Baron from 1,700 health. Tiger into Phoenix, smites it away, and Spica does it again for TSM. Sword Art had even revived from his earlier death, so they actually have a Baron buff. Look at this. He's on it. Jizuke actually throwing his spells through the Baron, trying to hit Spica, did more damage to Baron. Oh, man.
That's a tilter.
It certainly is. That could have been a game-breaking win for EG right there if they got Baron and that full ace for themselves, but being denied by Spica means TSM still have chances at ending this series out in a game number 4 right now. I will say they had better do something about Deathly, though, because this whole change in priority away from the Tristana back to his comfort, Kai'Sa here, early on in the draft phase has paid off. This guy, killer instinct right over to all these plays, feeding him so many of these kills. This Kai'Sa will melt through anything right now. Lord Dominic's been picked up a while ago for him. And he's certainly the biggest threat that TSM have to keep eyes on. So Huni, Spica, Power of Evil, Sword Art, literally everybody has got to watch out for that displacement there with Killer Instinct. There is one exhaust that's coming back up there for Sword Art. So he's definitely going to try and get some value out of that there. I'd still say EG are in the better position, even though TSM do get their Baron still. You see it's buying time for them.
They're just stalling with it.
Yeah, exactly. You're not getting near that mid turret, though. At least not yet.
I really do like the fact that I was wrong in the draft. When Evil Geniuses gave away the Tristana, I said I didn't like this. I said I hated it. Tristana is just one of the most powerful champions in the whole game right now, but definitely on this comfort pick, on this Kai'Sa, really showing off how much that can matter in these big high-stakes moments. 7-0-3, 10 out of 15 kill participation, just popping off when his team needs him to do it. On the other side, though, Power of Evil level 16 on the Syndra, just recently dinged that one. Means he has the ultimate fully evolved, getting extra range too. Remember the Power of Syndra's passive, once an ability is fully ranked up, it gets an extra bonus. And for the ulti, it's cast range. So that much easier for Power of Evil to apply that incredible burst damage to Deftly in the middle of these fights. Deftly will need to have good use of his own exhaust to help him stay alive. As Infinity Edge is completed, that's a 5-item Kai'Sa, Kobe.
Ouch! That's all that I see when I see that, because he is so much more fed than everyone else in the game. They're going for the flank, though. Impact on Aatrox. Remember, he's extremely tanky. There's a difference in how these two teams want to play the game because of the top laners. Camille, full split push right now. She's got the trifecta of Sterix plus the Ravenous plus the Trinity Force. Perfect 3-item power spike, unmatched in split push, and you see him going for it. TSM, though, they've got the tank Aatrox, and Tanktrox is coming for that mid turret.
Okay, the dive's coming out from Evil Geniuses. Ignar here on the front line, but a beautiful counterattack from TSM. Just absolutely destroys them. Support engages just feel a little bit cursed here in these mid lane fights, but now the counterattack to the counterattack, and it's Huni. Every time it's always Huni getting caught out in these follow-ups, man. Evil Geniuses get the punish, and it's 1-for-1.
Oh, man, he's going to hear about that one certainly later, because that was just after PoE comes up with this huge burst play, getting the kill. Ignar just blown off of Summoner's Rift here. Look at this. All right, so initially he stuns Deftly all the way back at Tower 1. So this initiation from EG, I think, is just poor attention to detail. Deftly was Syndra stunned way back at Tower 1, so he didn't follow up with any damage. But then it's again poor attention to detail as Huni walks right up into all the CC we talked about Nico having. Jizuke, good pick for EG there, is able to clean it up. The initiations, if you're off by a little bit of spacing, not coordinated with your DPS, that means a difference in a world here, because definitely as fed as he is, being 2 screens back, or even just 1 screen back, not there during the initial CC from EG, doesn't get the damage out, and TSM were able to find an opening.
Very important thing, too. Definitely now with the stopwatch in inventory in that 6th item slot. The dragon is spawning in 40 seconds. Definitely will have that extra outplay potential here in this fight. We know he has to be the focus, and that 2.5 seconds of invulnerability could be the difference in a win and a loss in this team fight for Evil Geniuses, a win and a loss in this game for Evil Geniuses. It's so evenly balanced on that knife's edge here in this game, about 2,000 gold apart between the teams. Jizuke's clone runs forward. TSM is grouped up here in this river. It's Huni left alone here on the flank. They got to be careful to not throw him in there too early. Impact takes a couple of hits from Spica, but not a whole lot. Infernal Chains will not be able to pull him back. Udyr can escape in time. TSM has priority over the Drake Pit for now. Lost will immediately just start getting them auto attacks, stacking it up. With that Phantom Dancer going. He's up to the 4 stacks, ready to go. TSM taking the Drake down to about 1,000. It is secured by Spica yet again. The boys got the smites where they need to be. Impact's approaching from the side. Huni's able to stop him. Jizuke looking for some of the lockdown, but he only finds it onto Sword Art, who's already stuck back in the ulti here. Ignar coming in, definitely legendary, and Huni's already gone. Evil Geniuses haven't lost anybody except their mid laner yet. TSM also here with 4 men still alive. Chasing after Svenskeren. Spica looks for a little bit more damage, but does not want to overchase. TSM now find them in a spot where Evil Geniuses can collapse. Impact with a flash engage, making sure he's able to go in. Definitely jumping in now as well. TSM having to get lost out of the mix now. Svenskeren the first one to die. Ignar's going to be taken out next. Definitely is alone. Definitely's chain CC. Definitely's taken down. And goodness gracious, TSM destroy that team fight.
TSM Alcove, are you kidding me? They just outplay EG. The focus here, definitely not able to get in, and it was a big difference in front lines. Flash there from Impact to try and get the setup to actually deal damage, but definitely not able to follow up there, and you could see PoE hitting the stun, walking back into the alcove, creating that space. Him and Lost are able to burn through that front line, and that means they are rewarded with Baron. 33-47 into the game. Soul Point coming up in 3 more minutes. TSM with this Baron they can actually gain map control, set up all of their side lane pressure. This Camille, Huni's going to have the time of his life here with Baron buff accentuating his split push. They can finish off the remnants of these secondary towers and get full vision over the Soulfight Dragon. Here's another look at the beginning of it, though. It is Huni being traded right now for Jizuke. It gets the stopwatch off to buy time. Meanwhile, Huni also getting burned down there on the outside, turning into the 4v4. But here is where they have the kind of difference where everybody going up towards Svenskeren, now getting kited on. Impact, you can see him charging up his Qs, flashes in, but definitely is not in range to attack during that flash. And then when he flashes in, Sword Art headbutts him out. So there were like 2 autos there from the biggest DPS sort. Meanwhile, Lost and Power of Evil kite back into the alcove, and they take down the EG front line, allowing TSM to win that fight. It's just really good heads-up play and awareness, you know, working around the big DPS threat in these fights.
5,800 damage from Lost on the Tristana. And I guess that's the problem, right? Going back to Champion Select, yes, definitely has been popping off on the Kai'Sa, but when you don't take Trist, they also now get to play Trist, and he gets to do 5,800 damage in a team fight. So TSM feeling good about their current spot in this game. The Baron buff will last another minute and 38 seconds. Then the Dragon's going to spawn just about not even 30 seconds after that. So full control over the map right now, pushing onto 2 different tier 2 turrets at the same time. Tristana will do what she does best and just knock over that turret oh so easily as everybody else rotates down bottom and looks to pick up another one, build this gold lead even further.
You know what I like most about that last team fight for TSM is that Sword Art is displaying one of the biggest truths that you need to learn early for tanks. Oh, never mind. We might have a fight here now.
All right. We don't have the time for it, my friend. Evil Genius is coming in, looking to make the collapse with the TP play as Jizuke goes for the damage onto Lost. Massive shutdown. Evil Genius is now with a shutdown back onto definitely 80 carry for 80 carry. TSM's turning the fight right back around with a double kill over to Huni. Impact stands 1v4, but the CC is too much. There's way too much still left in the tank, man. TSM, it looked bad. They lost Trist at the start of the fight, but the immediate counter kill on the enemy AD carry, and TSM is poised to win this series right here.
It was a hard-fought game number 4 here for both sides, but TSM inside the base, they're going to rack up their first dub of playoffs into the lower bracket for TSM and right over Evil Geniuses.
Evil Geniuses had a couple of good-looking games here in this series, but it was not enough. Their journey in the mid-season showdown ends here, and TSM moves forward 3-1.
Really like how some of these, you know, team fights especially are executed towards the later stages. Sword Art in the last one really demonstrating how the best way to tank Captain Flowers and play frontline for your team is to not get hit by the enemy AD carry. You know, headbutting, zoning, threatening with these skills and using spacing to avoid damage rather than soak damage means a world of a difference. Because tank items right now don't allow you to become the juggernauts of old. There's no more, you know, 15-second long fights where people are trying to work through full tank champions anymore. Towards the late stages of the game, all the AD carries are involving Lord Dominix in their builds. You know, you simply don't last as long. And so when you buy time like that by avoiding damage, creating space with the team, and syncing up some of these crucial moments in these fights where you're having the engages right on the split second when the DPS actually gets to, you know, follow up with that damage. That's how you create Lost doing, you know, 5.8k damage in the team fight, and creating that differential, which really does mean the difference in some of those things like we saw with them kiting back through the alcove.
And this also goes to show what your placement in the regular season got for you. For TSM, when they played against Liquid after they lost that series, they have their redemption chance, right? Evil Geniuses, they put up a good fight against TSM here, but considering they only got to start in the lower bracket because of their regular season finish, that means it's over. Evil Geniuses will have to watch the rest of the midseason showdown from home. TSM gets to move forward, continue to play on next week. And honestly, there's going to be a couple things that need to be improved. There were some questionable deaths from Huni. There were some times where the team fell behind as a whole, made a couple of errors, but they demonstrated their ability to come back as a squad, to punish their opponent's mistakes, and to team fight better, to play as a team better. You're talking about Sword Art guaranteeing that nobody's going to be aggroed unless they absolutely have to be. I'm looking at Power of Evil making some big CC moments, getting the burst onto the right targets. TSM is a squad that knows how to get these things done. That's all for me. That's all for Kobe. That's all for us here at the casting desk. We're throwing to a commercial one more time here, but once we return, La Tigress will be talking with Spica in a Verizon post-game interview. See y'all there.
Welcome back to the mid-season showdown. After witnessing TSM eliminate EG with a 3-1 finish, we had to grab jungler Spica because look, after some solid performance from you throughout that series, you even capped it off with a Baron steal to keep your team's hopes alive. Walk me through the highs and lows of this series.
Yeah, I think this series, to be honest, we didn't really play as well as I expected. I think we made a lot of mistakes, and I was expecting like a 3-0 into the series because I think we're a much better team than EG. But I think in the end, we still pull off some really good plays. Like, game 3, I think game 4, I stole Baron. Was it game? Yeah, it's game 4, I stole Baron, and then we managed to close it out. But I think we definitely have a lot of things to work on.
Yeah, so diving into that a bit, because we've gotten to see some experimentation in draft, bringing out things like the Nocturne, but some return to some comfortable picks like Control Mages. What are you and TSM focusing on when it comes to looking for those areas to improve in these best-of-5 series?
I mean, yeah, definitely we are starting to improve our champion pool. I think, as for jungle, I think there's really only 5 jungle champions that's really viable in this patch, I guess, but we're expanding like our mid and top champion. As you can see, PoE played TF, and then Huni played the Nocturne. So we're definitely like, experimenting with newer stuff, to help our draft get better.
You mentioned that you feel there are only certain picks that can work in the jungle position, but the position itself is obviously very important. Looking at this series, you did establish a lot of control over objectives in the early game, a significant change in TSM's early game at that over the past few games. How do you feel that you have been developing as a player, a jungler, often making the calls in the early game, finding your voice on this veteran squad?
I think, even though we have a lot of veterans, I believe that early game is mostly up to the jungler. So I pretty much call like every play in the early game. And, recently, I believe, I think during the regular split, our early game was really poor, right? I think we have one of the worst early game stats. So like going to playoffs, that was our main focus. And I think, I've shown like this series and, previous TL series, our early game has gotten a lot better. So I think we just need to go back on what we worked on before. Like I think before our mid game was really, really good. But I guess some of the habits just fell off because we were focusing a lot more on early game. So I think we definitely need to work more on that as well.
Even as early as those level 1 plays, we are seeing those changes come from TSM. But as different as TSM looks, we can't help but think about just last year when TSM made that run all the way through the Miracle, through to the championship, everyone referencing it. But it's only you and Bjergsen that were actually there at the time that are currently under the TSM banner. How are you able to draw from that experience here in 2021, especially with a different band of teammates around you?
I guess the biggest thing I learned from last year's like Miracle Run, I guess, is just like mental resilience and just like performing under pressure. Because I believe we played like 5 or 6 BO5s in like 30 games. So, I'm already really used to playing BO5s, playing like playoffs. So I think just having someone that's really calm and able to calm the team down during like intense moments is really helpful. I think that's what I've been doing.
It's great seeing you enact that experience from just last year here in this series. Looking forward, we do have more best of 5 series coming on the broadcast tomorrow. It's Dignitas and 100 Thieves facing off, one of which is going to be your potential opponent. What are your thoughts on that matchup?
Well, we're 2-0 against 100 Thieves and 0-2 against Dignitas, so I hope 100 Thieves win. But I think 100 Thieves changed their roster recently. Personally, I think it's a bit questionable, but I think 100 Thieves still definitely I believe is going to be the winner.
Well, we're looking to answer some questions tomorrow on the Rift. Spica, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you for having me.
It's time for us to continue breaking down TSM, avoiding their end here in the MSS. Let's head to the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, the Tigers. As we come back to the State Farm Analyst Desk, and you can see there on the wall, TSM is victorious, 3-1, and they will keep themselves alive in the postseason picture. Now, obviously, we talked a lot about our thoughts on the draft here in this Game 4 during that pause. And so I actually want to jump right over that and get into some of the gameplay and how it ultimately shook out from that point forward, because it was you, Hai, who asked the question during the pause. Given the draft and given the current game state, at the moment that we saw pause, who did everybody think was going to come away with the win? And the answer was unanimously TSM. And then chaos ensued.
Right. I didn't get to answer who would have won, but if I did, I would have said TSM as well. This beginning of the game, it really reminds me of when I was playing and you're feeling the adrenaline, you're game 4, you're down 1-2, you're like, oh crap, guys, I really got to win. So you're running around trying to make plays. You see this game, TSM and both EG are feeling it. They're hype on their Red Bull, they're hype on their coffee, they're looking for fights, they're looking to scrap. They're here to show who the better player is, so that's why you see so much action early game. They see it play, they don't think about what would happen if it gets countered, they just go for it. See champion, kill champion, that's the moral of the story at the beginning of this game.
And, going on, we asked, or at least we said that Ignar needed to be the member, the catalyst to Evil Genius's success, especially on the rel, and I felt like he was doing that this game. He was a lot more creative with his rel engages. I loved being able to see, at least later on as the game went on, the comebacks. This one is beautiful from Jizuke, by the way. I just wanted to take a look at this one. Even with the exhaust coming down, you ain't going to survive that one.
Yeah, well, you talk about the rel engages, and as you talk about or bring them up, let's take a look at a few of them. And Primal, I'll hand it off to you as well. EG, making the game interesting.
They made it really, really interesting, and I think Ignar in particular, I mean, all series, and honestly, over the history of the spring split, this guy has been amazing on Rel. And it's not just the engages like Raz mentioned, although it's certainly a part of it, it's also the counter engages, right? Like, there are a lot of fights and situations where Ignar actually was able to stop Huni from getting a good engage, stop Sword Art from getting a good engage. Here we see EG going super, super duper ham for Power of Evil and making sure that they can get the kill. So I think Rel is a pick that complements the really aggressive playstyle of EG, because they're always looking for opportunities to start fights, and they're always willing to take a fight once it's been started as well.
That's that Misfits Ignar. That's the Ignar that, you know, when you see him on the team, you're expecting him to take ownership on how the fights start. And I think that this game, beautiful. You know, even with the bittersweet ending, obviously you don't want to lose this one. That's blows. But the fact that you see in this game, like the way they challenged for Rift Herald, the engage that he got there, and then when they're fighting for Baron, and you see Syndra walking up, he takes a flank.
Yeah.
He flanks the Syndra on the backside. Incredibly creative, and that's why you know, give kudos to him. If they had won this game, he for sure would have been the MVP.
Right. In order to understand the comeback that was once again mounted by TSM, we are going to have to watch another lost fight. This one coming in the mid lane will result in that Baron steal that you heard Spica talking about in his interview. But let's break it down.
Right. I actually really like what happened here. I like that EG's looking for plays and picks. I don't really know what TSM is doing here. I guess they're still trying to continue the fight, even though it's super awkward. You'll notice that Spica isn't even a part of this fight. He's literally killing Wraiths as his teammates are dying. But he gets a game-saving play here. I want to be clear, it's a game-saving play. It's not a game-winning play. And there is a difference between that, because even throughout this Baron steal here, just because he stole the Baron does not mean they won the game. When you're looking to do these things as a jungler, by the way, you have to look at a few things. One, do you have flash up? And then two, is there a plan up? Since the fact that there's both up for him, he has two different ways to get into the pit, so he should just keep sitting there. Even though PoE died, don't care. Just hide in the bush, wait for your opportunity, either flash over or take this blast cone over. He chooses to take the blast cone, and it was an amazing steal. Svenskeren doesn't have smite, so it's not even a smite fight. There's nothing Sven could have done here to get in this Baron. They got it too low, Spica played it really well, and it saved the game for TSM, honestly, and I think that was really well played by Spica. And the reason why I say it's a game-saving play is because it leads into the later fight where they actually win the game. They're able to take a fight near Dragon, and is an ace, which led to a Baron. So I think Spica got player of the game for this, for me, but not player of the series. That's a huge play for him.
Yeah, I think Spica had some of the most clutch plays, but if we look at the series overall, you know, there are a lot of really clutch plays from, you know, members like Sword Art. And in this fight in particular, you know, we can see that EG maybe hyped up on the Red Bull as I think, was it High saying? We could see that there's a little bit of miscoordination. And, you know, this is kind of a difficult situation to read, right? You see Impact flashing in, he's trying to get a pick, but Sword Art has a really, really huge headbutt to get definitely out of the fight and prevents him from cleaning up on all these low HP targets. So at the end of the day, I think this came down to players showing up in really specific moments. And unfortunately for EG, I think TSM had the better of them in that regard.
Yeah, for me, just taking all of those reels in, the supports had such a large impact, because like even talking about the Baron, I wanted to get in the fact that like Ignar basically blocks the Alistar engage by stunning him on his headbutt and not allowing him to pulverize. And then as I even mentioned, like the fact that the Rel gets a flank off on the Syndra, and it's just like good play after good play after good play, and then a steal. And you're like, God damn it, I literally put my heart and soul into this, and then we get our Baron stolen from us. So like obviously that blows. And then on the bottom half, that bottom half team fight, I think they'll look back on, and there's zero value in like kind of reviewing that now that the split is over. But you're on different sides of the page right there, because I like the fact that you're going on to the Camille. Like the Camille is in no man's land. You should go on top of her. In fact, like even the Kai'Sa sees it, and so it's Kai'Sa and Aatrox on the Camille. But then Jizuke is already in 4 people with a Rel, doing 0 damage because they have no follow-up. So that is a picture-perfect moment of them just not being on the same page as a team, because EG should win that fight. Obviously didn't happen. TSM at the end of the day are more coordinated, and win it 3-1 just for that.
I think those situations right there, that fight and how Jizuke played that, leads people to call him to be a coin flip player. You'll see throughout the beginning of the early game, he made a lot of plays that were really good for his team.
Yeah.
But then this pivotal moment comes into the game where they have this game-losing team fight. He literally flash engages onto 3-4 people on his own. Even if they don't flash that, it's a terrible engage. And it leads people to be like, hey, why are you doing this? This is why you're called a coin flip player. The management of EG is going to look at that and be like, hey, is this something that we continue to want to do? Because he knows people criticize him for these plays. Is it something that he can fix moving forward, where he's continually trying to make these hype plays? Hopefully, because I hope he fixes it. I think he's a really good player, but he really needs to think sometimes before he goes for these plays. Like, that's a 10-90 play, 10% chance success, 90% fail, and it's just, you got to think a bit more when you do these plays. But I like his play style. He just needs to tone it down a little bit at times.
See, I just want to quickly, because those are the type of plays that are so hard to review, because it's like, we just need to see the same thing at the same time. Because honestly, if Kai'Sa is, if they're calling to just follow Jizuke on the call, Kai'Sa can just ulti on the fight, and they have damage for the fight, and Aatrox will just slow follow, I think. Right? I can see both windows where it's like, no, make the call so Jizuke
there's
slow
no
play.
dude. The rest of the team is in the dragon pit. He's by himself over there. There's no follow-up on that. No way.
Kai'Sa ultimate? I think they can. Like, at the end of the day, my biggest point is, like, Rel's already there basically following with you. Kai'Sa can follow as well, and I think that's all you really need with jungle. It's only Aatrox that's disconnected. I think the better play, to your point, is, like, just collapse on the Aatrox. But that's why, for me, I look at that and just say, we need to be on the same page anyways. That's, like, regardless of what it is, that's the most repeatable lesson.
Well, and look, to me, this conversation right here is the beauty of League of Legends. The fact that a game can be decided by an individual making, a stab at a play, and hey, it goes right in one case, it goes wrong in another, and that spells either success or disaster. But I do want to return again to the conversation that we've had around TSM, and that today it truly was a team effort. Without that smite steal by Spica, they're not in the position to win that team fight later. But to Primal's point, only one person can reign supreme and take home that Player of the Series honor. And today, it's the Sweetheart support in Sword Art. Let's talk about him, Primal.
Yeah, so, this is 2 games that arguably he snatched victory from the jaws of defeat. Once on the Nautilus getting that hook. And, we can argue about whether definitely should have dodged it or not, but there's no doubt that if Sword Art doesn't hit that hook, that game might look a lot different. And then him also butting out definitely again. So I guess he's just bullying definitely all the way into a Player of the Series, which is great for him. To get him out of that fight and prevent him from cleaning up on Kai'Sa. So, look, this is what you expect from a guy who was clearly super hyped coming to the league. Everyone talking about $6 million support. Beginning of the split, he's not looking super hot, but end of the split, he's consistently showing a ton of great team fight awareness, picking priority targets, and he's forcing bans, right? Like, he's forced EG into a situation where they're like, okay, we don't even want to play Tristana versus this guy anymore, and we don't want to deal with his Nautilus. So, very well deserved by Sword Art.
It will be interesting to track his influence over the team as TSM continues to progress through the mid-season showdown. Now, of course, after their loss today, we sadly say goodbye to Evil Geniuses in spring, with TSM staying alive to play another day. As Tigers had mentioned, they will wait to see the winner of tomorrow's series. Tomorrow's series, of course, Dignitas and 100 Thieves are facing off to see who will survive and head into that next round of our lower bracket. But before that eventful match tomorrow, we've seen TSM win through a lower bracket run once before. How can they ensure, and Tigers asked a similar question to Spica, how can they ultimately ensure that this happens once again in spring? Hi?
I think for TSM, one of the main things they need to look at is I want to say it's a weakness come mid. He's a really great player, so it's not like his mechanics are weak, but it has shown that when he's not on a comfort pick or a matchup that he likes, he doesn't perform that well. I'd like to see him expand his champion pool. Obviously, his Azir, his Syndra, etc. are very, very good, but it's a one-dimensional playstyle, and I do want to see that be expanded upon in the future. If PoE wants to be known as the best mid laner in NA or the best mid laner in the world, he has to be able to play more than one style at the same level he is at his control mages.
Yeah, I agree with back.
Stop it, Raz. Primal first.
My bad.
I'm watching you.
Talk, Raz. That's the last time, Raz. Okay, so I agree with Hai that PoE does need to expand. That said, I think it's a little bit of a tall order to be able to do that between now and the end of the midseason showdown. So I'm actually looking more top with Huni. I was actually surprised at how often he made mistakes over the course of this series. We see him, getting caught constantly on Camille, both in 1v1s, like over chasing Impact into a tower, taking a tower shot, and then dying, conceding the lane. And then in that fight around race where he gets caught, picked out by EG, and then we end up in a situation where Spica has to Baron steal in order to get the team back in the game. So I think there just needs to be a lot more consistency from Huni. I'm a little less worried about PoE's champion pool because I do think he was focused a lot. And overall, we didn't see picks like the Seraphine, which I thought was overall decent in the TL series. They went 1-1 with it, but it was a pick that I think if they workshop a little bit more, they can continue to win given their team fight style.
Raz?
All right. I think for me, I'm not too concerned about TSM. I think this is not the time to be, if you're TSM, concerned about like your flexibility as a comp. Like if you're going to be playing front to back team fight, try and rein in stability and consistency. Be the best at that. It reminds me of way back, like the Azubu Blaze moniker that I remember of Monty and Doa talking about, like one trick warhorse. Like just be the best damn team. It doesn't matter if they know what you're going to be playing, that you're just that good that they can't unseat you in that regard. So TSM, a lot of the play has been fairly poor in the mid game, or at least in this series. Clean that up. Just get better and better like you did in summer.
And worst case scenario, Spica will just steal Baron, so they're good.
Look, if you can rely on that, that's a pretty sweet thing to be able to rely on. I do want to touch on one other thing before I let you all go for the day. Raz, I believe I have you back on the desk, but hi, Primal tomorrow, I think you will be subbed out. And so I do want to get your thoughts real quick ahead of that Dignitas 100 Thieves matchup. Who will TSM ultimately face? Primal, let me come back to you. Just overall thoughts on how that one might break down.
I still think 100 Thieves is lost somewhere. I don't know where they are, but it's not here, right? Like, it's not a Ryoma versus Devontae thing. It's a whole macro thing. But overall, I just haven't seen a really compelling look from 100 Thieves the last few weeks. I think Dignitas is actually a pretty excellent team in terms of team fighting. They have a lot of flexibility because of Dardoch's unpredictability from the jungle. And I think Saligo has really stepped up, and I think he'll compare favorably with either Devontae or Ryoma. So I expect Dignitas to take this without a huge reversion back to form for 100 Thieves.
For me, 100 Thieves should win. In my opinion, they have a stronger top side. They have a stronger bot side. Their mid lane's a little bit weaker, but not a significant big enough gap for it to be a problem. However, League of Legends is a game that isn't, you can look at it on paper, but what matters is what happens in the actual game. So I'd say the favorite is on 100 Thieves, maybe 70-30. But at the end of the day, what comes down to is when you get in the game, can you press your keys better than the enemy team? And if you can, you win. So whatever I think doesn't matter once the game starts.
That might be the most beautiful reduction of the game of League of Legends I have ever heard.
Yeah,
just press your keys better, man.
Just
press
the keyboard.
Your keys better than your opponents. All right, with those thoughts, we're going to wrap up the day. It's TSM moving on in the lower bracket. They'll face the winner of tomorrow's best of 5. But as we're done here, now on behalf of myself, the casters, and the entire remote broadcast crew, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow for more LCS. Until then, stay healthy, stay safe, and be good to each other. Good night.